What do you say? What do you know? It's the full Monte Sports Show. It is January 2nd, 2022, 2021. I am your host, Monte Perez, a.k.a. The Sports Whisperer. You can follow me on social media, on Twitter, MonteJP231, on TikTok, Monte Perez231. I want to wish everyone a safe, happy, get rid of 2021. It was a disaster with COVID, with all the things going on, civil unrest, and welcome in a new happy 2022. So we did 2 shows on New Year's Eve. This is actually my 5th show in a week. That is the goal here. I did a show last Sunday. I did a show Monday. I did 2 shows on Friday night breaking down the college football playoffs. Our goal is to do this 5 days a week. We can only do this with your help. So if you like this show, please, please, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the Nuts and Bolts YouTube channel. Happy New Year, everyone, to you too, Andrea. Yes, I hope we all have a safe and happy New Year. Keep the comments coming. We've been having a little trouble. It's a YouTube issue with the chat room, but keep the comments coming. We love having them. Really appreciate you guys being so interactive with our chat. Okay, we have the best guests all across the country. This week is no exception. Gus Frerotte, former NFL quarterback. Huddle Up with Gus is going to join us in about 15 minutes. And then return of Rico, Show Me the Money, Graziano. Rico has 9 winning weeks, 5 losing weeks. He guaranteed a 4th straight year of winning people money, having over 500 record. Rico did 2 shows with me when I had the podcast. He did 2. This is my 2nd year doing a YouTube show. So Rico, Show Me the Money, Graziano, winning 5. This is his 4th straight year, going 9-5-1. Happy New Year to you too, Greg. Again, thanks for everyone being so active in the chat room. We're going to get to the NFL. There are so many compelling games. You know, I was a little weary about the extra schedule, extra game. Only one team in each conference now has a bye week, but it's really made these late games in the season. You can't rest your players, which is something the NFL was trying to address. Everyone's playing for home field now, so these games this week are going to be very, very compelling. But let's start each show like we always do with the good, the bad, and the funny. Okay, the good. So I don't have an addictive personality, right? I'll give you an example. I cannot buy glazed donuts because if I buy a 12 pack of glazed donuts, especially like Krispy Kreme, I'll eat them all in one day. So I don't buy them. I try to resist, anything that is addicting. I wanted to watch 2 episodes of Cobra Kai season 4, but I couldn't. I started with 2, and then it was up to 3. Then it was up to 4. Then it was up to 5. I'm 6 episodes in, and I stopped. You know, one of the things I love about this show is you could identify with almost every character. The only character that I don't like, I'm sorry, is Daniel's son. That kid is just not a good person. And there's no redeeming quality, right? The Sopranos, right? People used to love The Sopranos, but I couldn't stand The Sopranos. I couldn't stand The Sopranos because Tony had no redeeming qualities about him. But every one of these guys you could identify with, right? Johnny, he's trying to be a good guy. He's kind of bitter, still angry that Daniel beat him. Daniel's a little pompous, a little arrogant, has a little bad streak in him. The daughter, the girl from Cobra Kai who's basically trying to support her family at 17 years old. Robbie, who feels like he's been left out of the cold. His father's never around, trying to look for an identity. So I love Cobra Kai. To me, you just set it and forget it, right? You put it on, and the episodes go by so quick. I'm on episode 6. I will not give you any spoilers, but if you haven't watched Cobra Kai season 4, check it out. It is very, very entertaining. So that's the good. Okay, let's get to the bad now. I am tired of the SEC hatred. Wow. Going back here, Greg finished it all in one. Greg finished it all in one sitting. Good for you. Okay, my dad finished it all in one sitting too. But I'm tired of the SEC hatred, right? People say, oh, there's an SEC bias. There's an SEC bias. No, there is not an SEC bias. That's the conference that Alabama, Georgia, LSU play in. I'm going to go over real quickly the record for the SEC. If you watch the college football playoff game, I said 5 minutes into the Alabama game, it was over. 10 minutes into the Georgia game, it was over. The speed, the power, the talent. You don't have to know a lot about football to realize that both of those games were just not competitive. Not competitive. But I'm going to give you the record here just to show there isn't bias in the SEC. There's dominance. This is the non conference schedule of every SEC team. So when the SEC goes and they play in the Big Ten, like an Ohio State, a Michigan, or they play the Pac 12 in Arizona and Oregon, a USC, or the ACC, they play North Carolina, Clemson. This is the SEC team's record since 2005 against non conference opponents. LSU, 45-3 versus non-conference opponents. Alabama 42-6, Missouri 40-7, South Carolina 39-8, Auburn 39-8, Florida 39-8, Arkansas 36-9, Texas A&M 36-10, Georgia 39-10, Mississippi 34-11, Mississippi State 34-11. The two worst teams in the SEC over the last few years, Tennessee and Vanderbilt, 66-24. Tennessee is 33-11. Vanderbilt is 33-13. So stop with your BS that there's an SEC bias. There's no SEC bias. It is just they are the best, most dominant conference in the country. That's why Alabama, after they go 11-1, are blowing out Cincinnati. That's why Georgia, after going 11-1, are blowing out Michigan. They play elite teams every week. They play elite teams every week. And now, look, I'm going to have an article for Nuts and Bolts Sports. The game is next Monday. I'm leaning towards Georgia right now. I know it's hard to go against Nick Saban. But I'm leaning towards Georgia. So stop hating on the best, most dominant conference in the country. End of story. There's no bias. They're just better. There's no bias. They're just better. Okay, so that's the good, the bad. Now let's get to the funny. I mean, so again, I say this all the time about Florida. We have the dumbest criminals on the planet. There's no way to scientifically back that up, but we have the dumbest criminals on the planet. Okay, listen to this guy from Jacksonville. Steve Wallace was on the run for police for stealing. He avoided the police. They had him on camera. He avoided the police for weeks. So what did he start doing? He had a Snapchat following, and he started posting where he's hiding from the police. Advertising. The police came to his house, and he posted a picture of him hiding in a storage facility, and they didn't find him. So what did they do? He's been arrested. He's looking at 3 to 5 years for a history armed robbery because he wanted to be a Snapchat hero, posting where he's hiding from the police, and his followers reported him. Are you kidding me, dude? Again, we have the dumbest criminals in the country. Okay, I am ready for this. Drum roll. 148-56 picking NFL games. 148-56 picking NFL games. Let's get right to it. Again, I said it from the beginning. This week's games, there's a lot of playoff implications. Normally, teams would be resting their players. They can't do it now. Okay, Tampa Bay Bucks, 11-4 at the 4-11 Jets. Brady is no stranger to dominating New York. Brady is no stranger to dominating the Jets. He is 29-6 against the New York Jets, 14-4 on the road. This game should be over at halftime. The Jets defense is horrible. Their offense will struggle. Take the Bucks over the pathetic Jets, 41-17. Again, I am 148 and 56 picking games. My goal is to be 80%. Okay, the 8-7 Eagles at the 6-9 Washington football team. Washington has allowed 41 and a half points over the past 2 weeks. We saw how pathetic they were against the Dallas Cowboys. They had a fight on the sidelines. I think Ron Rivera should be fired. I really do. And if not fired, Ron, just quit. Why the hell do you want to be with that dysfunctional organization with Daniel Snyder running things? Just a history of incompetence. Um, Ron Rivera has 8 losing seasons in 11 years coaching on the sidelines. The Eagles are number one rushing team since week 8. Take the Eagles here 27-17. Okay, the 11-4 Rams at the 8-7 Ravens. Look, we talked about this, and we're going to talk about this with Gus in a few minutes. The Ravens are 3-0 in January in regular season games. But this is not the team that we all saw in the beginning of the year. They have been decimated with injuries. The Rams are starting to run the ball super effectively. Sony Michel, great acquisition from the Patriots, the running back. Odell Beckham Jr. has come over from Cleveland. He's revitalized in LA, playing great. I said it, I wrote an article a couple of weeks ago. Cooper Kupp should win the MVP, the wide receiver. He won't win it, but he should. Take LA here 30-20. 2-3 Jaguars at the Patriots. 2-3 Jaguars at the 9-6 Patriots. New England has won 7-8 versus the Jags. We said 2 weeks ago about the Buffalo Bills, right? This is an opportunity for them to get right. Well, this is an opportunity for the Patriots, whose offense has now been kind of pedestrian over the last few weeks. Mac Jones kind of hit that rookie wall, struggling a little bit, not producing as much. But the Jaguars are so incompetent. Patriots run the ball early and often. Look for New England to have an interception here. Look for them for their defense to score a couple of points against the Jags. Take New England in a rout, 34-16. 8-7 Raiders at the 9-6 Colts. Carson Wentz, because of COVID protocols, having a great year, 25 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, but he's not playing. He's not playing. He's unvaccinated, so he has to wait, I think, over 7 to 10 days before he can return to the lineup. This is all about Jonathan Taylor. This is all about Jonathan Taylor. He's got to rush for 160, 150 yards. The Raiders are battling for their playoff lives. They're going to come ready to play despite all their off-the-field turmoil. Their wide receiver from Alabama is in jail for driving intoxicated and killing someone. Their head coach, John Gruden, got fired for just disgusting emails. The Raiders are still battling, but I'm taking the Colts here 17-16 in a close game. The Colts last week were going into that game. They had 29 turnovers. Their defense is making plays. I think they do that today. Derek Carr throws a pick late. The Colts win 17-16. Okay, 4-11 Giants at the 5-10 Bears. New York and Chicago are both ranked at the bottom in offense. Bottom. Joe Judge is getting a pass as the Giants head coach. He will be back next year. Look, Bears fans, whether Matt Nagy wins this game or not, whether they win right out, Matt Nagy will not return. So, let's relax if they win and people start getting nervous. Matt Nagy's done. They made that decision weeks ago, but I like the Bears here in an ugly game, 17-13. There are a few games here who you may not see more than 21 points by one team. In the NFL now, which everything's offense, there are a lot of games this week that should be very low scoring. Okay, the Buffalo Bills, 9-6, 7-8 Falcons come to Buffalo. Look, I've been critical of the Bills, right? And I still think they're a good team, but I just don't think they're a Super Bowl team. I think they rely way too heavily on Josh Allen. Their defense has been good at times, but inconsistent at other times. They've let up some big plays over the last year, including that run against New England, where they lost the game when Mac Jones only threw 3 times. But this is a game, again, where the Bills start to get rolling. They are leading the NFL. They've outscored their opponents by 163 points. It's number 1 in the league. So when the Bills win, they dominate. I think I don't know how Atlanta, to be honest with you, has won 7 games. I really don't. I like the Bills here in a big-time win, 34-17. 34-17. All right, a game that I'm very nervous about. Broncos 7-8 at the 8-7 Chargers. The Chargers have led up 21 or more points in 11 straight games. That is a record. That is the worst record in the NFL. I think Justin Herbert is winning despite his coach. His coach, Brandon Staley, is a defensive guy, and they've led up 21 or more points in 11 straight games. So the good news here is Denver's offense can struggle at times. It can struggle at times. Vic Fangio on the hot seat here. The loser of this game will be out of the playoffs. I'm taking the Chargers here just for Justin Herbert to make a big play late. Take the Chargers 27-24. Okay, the Houston Texans 4-11. They beat the Chargers last week. But matchups make fights, right? We say that all the time in boxing, UFC. Matchup makes fights. Here's what you need to know about this game if you're a 49er fan. Trey Lance is starting. Jimmy G's out. But here's what all you need to know. Houston is second to last in the NFL, giving up 141 yards on the ground per game. What do the 49ers like to do? They like to run the ball. They like to wear you down. This is going to set up the play action pass for Trey Lance. They're going to have Deebo Samuel, who I have going in my 2 fantasy football finals this week. You're going to have George Kittle over the middle for some big plays, but it's all predicated on the running game, and they should be able to push Houston's defense around. Take the 49ers here, 34-14. All right, big game here. 10-5 Cardinals at the 11-4 Cowboys. The Cowboys are still alive for home field. Let me be honest, no one wants to play Dallas in Dallas. That offense can score. That defense may be the fastest defense in the league going sideline to sideline. They can make plays. The one weakness is Dallas is that they could give up big plays down the field, but Arizona hasn't been right, even though he wasn't having a tremendous year since DeAndre Hopkins has been injured. All week, I've been thinking, you know what, Kyler Murray is going to make plays. He's going to give Dallas fits. But I got to go with Dallas here in a high-scoring game, 37-31. But don't be surprised if Kyler Murray has the game of the year and they pull an upset. Okay, 5-10 Panthers at the 7-8 Saints. Both of these teams are horrible on offense. It's just amazing to me, right? It's amazing to me how the Saints went from Drew Brees and being a perennial, top 3-4 team in the NFC to on the outside looking in. On the outside looking in. I don't know what's going to happen with Matt Rule. I had high hopes for him. I had Carolina and the Eagles as my surprise team. They have been terrible since starting the year 3-0. Take the Saints here, 27-17. 27-17. Okay, here we go. This is going to be for all you Seattle Seahawks fans. Is this going to be Russell Wilson's last year in Seattle? Is it going to be Russell Wilson last game in Seattle? I don't know. But I will say this. He's got to look around the league right now, and we'll talk more about this with Gus in about 30 seconds. He's got to look at the rest of his conference, and he's got to say to himself, okay, there's Matthew Stafford in LA. There's Kyler Murray. Okay, what are we doing here? I look at Sean McVay, and I look at his offense, and I'm like, wow. They're throwing the ball all over. You look at what Kyler Murray does, okay? You look at what San Francisco does. Maybe Trey Lance takes over the reins here, and he starts forever. So if I'm Seattle and I'm Russell Wilson, I say to myself, okay, what are we doing here offensively with Pete Carroll? What are we doing here? Because every team in that division is getting better offensively. Every team. But we're not. Pete Carroll is kind of stuck in mud here in the offense, right? It's run, run, throw. Run, run, throw. It's like watching the Chargers play. So if I am Russell Wilson here, I have a long talk with the ownership group. And I say, hey, what are we doing here? Kyler Murray's getting better. The Rams are getting better, right? So what are we doing here as a team? You have two elite wide receivers. DK Metcalf down year, Tyler Lockett down year. Russell Wilson can still dominate a game. So if I'm Russell Wilson, I see the writing on the wall here, and I say, hey, should I go to Pittsburgh, where if they just get an draft some offensive linemen or sign some offensive linemen, you have a very good running back, you have a very good defense, and you have very good wide receivers. There's something not right in Seattle. And Pete Carroll kind of tipped his hand here. Pete Carroll kind of tipped his hand here. Remember what he said in a press conference? He said Russell Wilson makes a lot of our mistakes disappear when Russell Wilson was injured. So it's going to be very interesting to see. Look, I have Seattle winning this game 24-20 against the Lions, but it's going to be very interesting to see what the hell is going on um, with Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson. Because I got to be honest with you. You look at how the NFC is getting better and better and better, and I don't know what Seattle's doing with their offense. That's pretty much looks like it's from the 1980s. Pretty much looks like it's from the 1980s. So I want nothing. I love watching Russell Wilson play. Love watching him play. I would love to see him in Pittsburgh. I'd love to see him go somewhere where, he's going to have a system around him that he doesn't have to carry it. I said this the other day on social media. I don't care what people think about LeBron James. You like him, you don't like him. That's neither here nor there. But LeBron James is leading the NBA in 30 points per game. He scored more than 30 points a game, I think 23 times, more than anyone in the NBA. And to me, that's sad. That's sad. I don't want LeBron James to have to carry his team in his 18th year. Pete Carroll said it in his press conference. I'll say it again. Russell Wilson makes a lot of our mistakes disappear. Well, Pete, you need to do a better job. You need to evolve. You need to figure out what's going on in your own conference because those offenses are dominating. Again, 154. What am I? I'm 154 and 58 or something like that. Picking games. I'm trying to get to 80%. We break down every game every week. So keep the comments coming. I know a lot of people always talk trash during. I'm only losing like 3 games a week, guys. So you can't really kill me too much. You can't really kill me too much on that. All right, we're gonna bring on Gus Frerotte, former NFL quarterback, host of Huddle Up with Gus. Gus Frerotte, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, buddy. How are you doing? Well, I will say I ate a little too much pork and sauerkraut yesterday, so that sauerkraut. If you're not used to eating it all the time, it can play a little havoc on you.
Yes, it can. Gus, so what do you do for New Year's and Christmas? Is it low key? Is it a big party? Do you stay home? Do you go out? What happens in the Frerotte household there?
Well, Christmas Eve, I think it's the same struggle that a lot of families have. It's at one house, then another. So you're going back and forth between two places. And Christmas Day is usually pretty low key. I always make a prime rib. That's what I do on Christmas. And then
Nice.
everybody sits around and sleeps because you're so full. And then Christmas, New Year's Eve, we try to stay up till midnight and then bring it in the new year. And then the next day we have pork and sauerkraut, mashed potatoes, hot dogs, kielbasa. So we do a lot of that stuff that I always grew up doing. And, there's some of those traditions that really want to make you start a resolution.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I say all the time, January 1st, the first week of January, the gym's packed. After that, people give up on their resolutions. So, do you have any resolutions, by the way? Is that something you do or you don't do?
Sometimes, it's pretty hard to keep with them. So you got to be really mentally strong. And I don't know if I'm mentally strong anymore at 50, but not like when I was 30 years old. But, there's always eat healthy, try to work out more, do those types of things. But I think everybody goes through that for the resolution. And then the other one for me was just, last year I kind of took a year off of just doing anything outside in my yard or anything. I just was, okay, I got to take a break. And this year, my resolution is to pick back up on my yard, plant some more trees, work in the garden a lot more, and make our yard beautiful.
One of the things that I do is I said this last week on my show. I don't make resolutions because I have like monthly things. And one of the things that I do to really keep me going is I keep a calendar at work. And every time I work out, I put an X on the date. So my goal is to do something physical, whether it's weights or cardio, 18 to 20 times per month. So
That's
if
awesome.
the so that because to me, like I used to be a personal trainer, and I told the story. This guy came in one time. He was about 100 pounds overweight. His wife just left him. He's like, I want to stop drinking. I want to stop eating bad foods. I want to stop smoking. I said, don't worry about that. Just start coming to the gym. The first month he was miserable because he wasn't seeing results. And then the second month he came in on a Saturday and he said, Monte, all my friends were going out to watch the NBA playoffs. They were going to Buffalo Wild Wings, drinking beer, getting wings. He goes, I didn't go because I knew I had to be here at 8 o'clock. And I said, see, once you start seeing results, because if you say I'm going to stop drinking, I'm going to start, you can't do all those things once. You got to take baby steps. I tell people all the time, working out is like playing a video game for kids. The first time they play it, they stink, and then they play over and over. They get better at it. Same with working out. Start off slow. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Well, and I think there's a mental part to it too, where you don't have to give up everything,
Right.
but you can eat less of the bad things,
Right.
right? So that's what we try to do. I'm not great at that because since I was a kid, I've been kind of addicted to sweets and sugars. And just when you get older, you don't burn it off like you used to. So one of the things, that we learned from Annie's grandfather, Russell, God rest his soul, was that when he got to a certain age, he said, I just cut everything in half. I still ate all the same stuff, but I didn't eat as much. And I noticed that I didn't have the same problems because it's going to be in front of you. Your friends are going to go out to, Buffalo Wild Wings and have a beer and wings. That doesn't mean you can't go. But, I think it's just, can you stay on track to, cut those down? So like what you're doing, if I put an X on a day I eat half, and maybe I do that, 28 days instead of, 30, 31 days, then I have a good track record going. It's just something that you have to learn. And mentally, that's hard for all of us.
Yeah, and one of the things I've cut out and I really don't miss it. Over the past 2 months, I've cut out red meat, bacon, and potato chips. I'm
Yeah,
addicted to like Ruffles, like just regular Ridge potato chips. I haven't had steak. I had scallops and bacon on Christmas Eve, but that's the first time I've had it in like 2 months. So it's just little things like you said, just cutting it out. I really don't miss it, to be honest with you.
yeah, mine is sugar. Like I'm addicted to ice cream. It's like if I don't have it in the house, I'm not going to eat it. But inevitably, somebody's going to the store and bringing it home
Pick it up.
because my boys love it too. And they're 24 and 22, so they can eat as much as they want.
What's your favorite ice cream of choice?
Ben and Jerry's fish food.
What is that?
Oh my God, it has like fudge and it has like marshmallow in it,
Oh my goodness.
and so you can get a good couple spoonfuls in and get your cravings out of the way. You just can't get stuck in eating the whole pint.
I remember a few years ago, me and a bunch of coworkers, we did like we were getting two or three gifts for every. There was like 10 of us, and instead of getting one gift, we all got we picked out a hat. We had to give two or three, and people got me wine, a gift card to Buffalo Wild Wings, and I was just like, if they're giving me alcohol and bad food, I need to make some changes here.
Right, exactly. It is tough. I mean, it is tough, and my wife and I, we do a lot of hiking. We try to stay in shape, and you're gonna have some issues and bumps along the way. That's just life, and you got to be able to get back on the horse when you fall off.
So is fish food a lot like Ben and Jerry's Rocky Road with marshmallows? Is that what you're saying?
It's a little different,
Yeah.
but you can check it out there. That's my
Okay.
favorite Ben and Jerry's. Please, nobody send me any. I don't want. I'm trying to cut it out, get it out of my
That's my thing.
freezer, I
Like
should say.
if I buy it, I'm gonna eat it. So I try not to buy anything that's
Well,
that's really bad.
I don't know about you, but my dad grew up in the Depression area. He was one of 15 kids. They had nothing. So I mean, there was no leftovers. You ate everything, right? If there was a leftover, we weren't having dinner. We were eating that again. So
Yeah.
if you bought it, if it was in the house, you had to eat it. We never threw anything away. And so I kind of get that mentality sometimes from when I was a kid that, hey, we have too much food. We got to save it and eat it. And my wife's not the same way. So it's kind of funny how that works.
All right. Let's get to this. My crack research staff. This is a great picture that they found. By the way, my crack research staff is me. In 1999, you won a Thanksgiving Day game against the Bears. You were up 21-0. They came back. You had a great game. I think it was your third straight start for Charlie Batch. So obviously, John Madden passed away this week. Talk a little about your interaction with him, what he meant to the league. I said they should, for the rest of the year, do like a temporary logo with John Madden. I think that would be great. What did John Madden mean to you? Not just video games for fans all across the country, but in your career and what he meant to you as a broadcaster.
Well, just being in the NFL, you've done a lot of the media, the people who are going to call the game during that week. If you're going to start, you're going to go in and talk to them, and they're going to ask you a bunch of questions. There were people that I didn't want to talk to, and there were people that you just love to go and talk to. And John Madden was one of those guys. When he and Pat Summerall would come in, it was just sitting around the table or hanging out at home and talking football. The guy was so mindful of what good things were about you. He never really put the negative things in the meeting, and he really talked about all the good things and what's going on with the team. And he was so knowledgeable and masterful of the game that it just made you feel at ease. And I love doing those meetings with John. And then hopefully some of that you talked about got conveyed over to the game. But being able to play on a Thursday and Thanksgiving Day game and win a turkey leg. There's people that are on the All Madden team. Those things are really cool, and I was just proud that I got to win a turkey leg. And
You remember this then, huh? You remember this moment here?
Oh yeah, everybody wanted to take a bite, and nobody would because those legs were like screwed on there, like because there were 6 turkey legs. I don't know if they so everybody held them up. I don't know if anybody took a bite, but it was a great game. I love playing in Detroit. It was one of my favorite teams to play for. We had an incredible locker room. And I think that every week that showed through on the field.
So I said last year, I said, the NFL is all about the competition committee making, every game more competitive, every game more watchable, the red zone, all the things that have transpired. And one of the things and you just changed my mind. One of the things I said, can we get Detroit off Thanksgiving? I said, because they're terrible every year. But you said this is such a magical time to play on Thanksgiving in Detroit. Talk about the fans and how important it is to keep Detroit on Thanksgiving.
Well, that year we had a good team.
You were good, yeah. You got
even though we lost some people to injury, that was the year Barry Sanders retired, so people didn't know what to expect, and we ended up winning a lot of games and going to the playoffs. So I think Thanksgiving is a time where everybody's celebrating, and it's just a special time in Detroit because it's just something that's built into the NFL. There's certain teams that are going to play on Thanksgiving. And now, yes, they're not very, they haven't been good in the past, but that's still something that everybody wants to watch as those teams play on Thanksgiving that are used to watching. Everybody wants to change it, maybe put the game of the week on Thanksgiving, but I just don't know if you can do that because those Thanksgiving games mean so much to those teams. And even though, like you said, Detroit isn't very good, that's a game that always means something, and you could say however you want, but that's like a playoff game for Detroit. And I wouldn't want to take that away from them.
Yeah, and you had a great game that game. I think you threw for over 300 yards. You had 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. This team again, you guys, when Barry Sanders retired, obviously shocked the world. This was a question for later, but I'll talk about it. With injuries now in the NFL, COVID, we're seeing that with Carson Wentz now, Kirk Cousins. What's the mindset when you lose someone like a Barry Sanders? Like, I know the mentality is next guy up, but do you take a step back and say, damn, we're in trouble here?
Yeah, Barry was tough because he's such a dynamic player. I mean, going there, I was so excited to be able to play with him and hand the ball off and watch him run. But get into training camp, he says, I'm just not going to do this. So all offseason, we were preparing for what Barry liked to do and, how we were going to get him the ball. And you're predicating your offense around him because he's such a superstar. And then he comes to training camp and he doesn't show up. So we have that training camp period without Barry to kind of, all right, we're going to go be a sad sack for a day. And then we're going to get out of that funk and we're going to play with who we got. They probably went out. I think they went out and got Greg, who was in that picture as the running back. And, uh, and we had Ron Rivers. We had some other guys that just stepped up. I mean, we all stepped up and played, and we just had a great locker room. I think it was veteran led, and people just wanted to play well, and we did that week in and week out.
So when you have a dominant player, right, like the Giants when they had Odell Beckham Jr., a Barry Sanders, when you have a Devonte Adams, to me, it's amazing how Devonte Adams is still open every week, at least 5 plays he's wide open. How do you make sure that other guys as the quarterback feel involved when you have such a dominant player and say, hey guys, one of the things that great players like LeBron James or Kevin Durant is like this in the NBA. He makes the last guy on his team feel like he's super important. Hey, when you're open, I'm going to get you the shot. We saw Jordan do that when he passed to Paxson, when he passed to Steve Kerr and trusted them. How do you keep other players involved when you have a Devonte Adams and they know Aaron Rodgers is going to look to him 90% of the time?
Well, first of all, it's a professional sport. It's a business. So you got to go out and play the best you can every snap, no matter whether he's getting the ball or whoever's getting the ball. So you have to produce day in and day out and be a part of the team. And that's the second thing. It's a team, right? You got to go out and earn the trust of your fellow teammates and do all you can. And the leader's job is to find those guys that he really trusts and bring the team together. That's who everyone is going to listen to, whether it's a Ray Lewis and Aaron Rodgers or you name it, that the big stars, their job is to not be selfish, is to go out and bring the team together. And if somebody's having a bad day, there's nobody better than the veteran of the team or the leader of the team to go pick them up. And I think when you hear a guy like Devonte Adams going out and saying, yeah, I might get my catches, but we're going to need you at some point. And we've seen that, like when nobody was there and Aaron Rodgers didn't have any, I think 3 of his starters were out. We were all wondering what he was going to do. And he trusted those guys. He threw them the ball like he would throw anybody else. And they ended up winning the game. I can't remember what game that was, but
Well, I think to your
it's
point,
just,
I think. Go ahead.
and I just think that, as a leader, if it's not going well, you have to do your best in the locker room because everybody is watching you. As a quarterback, especially if you're the leader of the team.
And to your point, I think the Packers were like 7-0 going into this year without Devonte Adams. So, when other guys need to step up, I'm just saying, like, the preparation is so for you, like with a Barry Sanders, with an Emmett Smith, with a Jerry Rice, the preparation offensively, you said it with Barry Sanders, all off season, you're like, we're going to do things to put him in the best situation. And then all of a sudden he retires. You're like, whoa, we got to change the offense around.
Well, when you lose a guy like that, you're not worried about them, when they come back, if they got to catch up or anything, because they're professionals. They're going to know the game. They're going to know what to do. And you're going to have to deal with some other guys coming in who haven't had a lot of snaps. I think sometimes it's a little easier for other positions. Quarterbacks, we've seen quarterbacks struggle who've come in who haven't had a lot of snaps. And the ones who do well when they come in, those are the ones that play a long time. And nothing against Ian Book, but watching him play, even though he was a rookie, he had a whole year to study and learn and get ready and see what it is to anticipate, to do that in practice. And feel like he was prepared to go into that game and play well, even though he thought he was. But you could watch that film and say that, he was behind a step.
Yeah, and listen, you could speak to that because in this picture, I think it was your third straight start for Charlie Batch. So you were the backup and you came in and you led this team. So you could definitely talk about what it takes to be ready. If you weren't the starter, and you could be called at any time.
Yeah, you have to be ready. I mean, you don't get any opportunities. I go back to my rookie season. I walk into a team meeting. We're going to play the Colts. Marshall Faulk, Jim Harbaugh's a quarterback. They're pretty good. And that Monday in the team meeting, Norv Turner goes, "Hey, we're going to have a new starter this week. Gus Frerotte going to start." That was the first time I ever heard that. Was sitting in the team meeting, and
So he didn't come to you first?
No, just was right out in the team meeting. So you're talking about sitting in the front row with the other quarterbacks, and he's saying, "Well, we're not going to play you. You're hurt, and we're going to play this kid that's never played in the NFL before." So you're super nervous all week. I had some good veterans around me that I got to know really well through training camp that trusted me, and they gave me a lot of positive feedback and influence through the week. I go back and watch that game and I'm like, man, what was wrong with my mechanics? What was I doing? But the thing I look at, the positive was I was completing passes. I was throwing to the right guy, things like that. Maybe nothing was perfect, but we end up winning the game. And so I think that you just have to be able to be ready, right? And you have to not let your shot get away from you, because in the NFL, you're not going to get many chances. Two at the most, and probably just one, if that is. And somebody put up there about Huntley.
Yeah.
I mean, what an incredible job he's done. He solidified that he's going to play in this league for a long time.
Yeah, and I say the same thing about like a Ryan Fitzpatrick or a Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota started. He came in last year on Monday night against the Chargers. Played great. They should have won the game, but the Raiders gave up a late touchdown to Justin Herbert. So when you're a backup and you come in and you don't make mistakes, like you said, your first start, you were completing passes. There's a reason why backups stay backups for all those years, right? They're professional, they're ready. They may not hit a home run, but you can hit a single or a double in a backup role.
Yeah, my first quarterback coach, Cam Cameron, he did an incredible job of always preparing me, getting ready. But the one thing he always said was, Gus, we never have to worry about your arm not being ready, because that was the one gift I was given, was to be able to pick up a football and wing it and throw it, and I wouldn't even have to warm up. And so, because that's what happens. You get one or two throws on the sideline, take a snap from the center, and let's go. It's 3rd and 5, get the first down. And so you have to be able to go and do those things. And there's a lot of mental preparation that goes on during the week for you. You can't just slough it off. You have to study. You have to be prepared, because if you're not, your team's not going to win. And then if you make too many mistakes, that's where the trust goes right out the window.
I look at someone like yourself who had a powerful arm. I look at John Elway. I look at Brett Favre. And then I don't want you to speak for him, but I look at someone like Jeff George, who had a magnificent arm and one of the quickest releases since Dan Marino. And I say, man, this guy just mentally, like, you were in the league for 15 years. Jeff George wasn't, but skill set, many people will say he was one of the most gifted. He was more gifted than Peyton Manning, right? I mean, I look at Jeff George. I was watching a highlight of him the other day. Man, this guy could sling it.
Yeah, Jeff George had one of the most incredible arms we've seen come into the NFL. And so you could have all this talent, right? Which Jeff had incredible talent, but your emotional talent and your mental talent has to be just as good to be great in the NFL. And I don't know Jeff that well, but I am thinking that there's probably a little disconnect between those two and his physical talent, because his physical talent was up there with anybody who ever entered the NFL. I remember our coaches making us watch film of how he'd throw. We called them bang eights, or little short posts, and he could just throw it better than anyone out there.
Yeah.
And but there's a situation or a point or something that didn't let him be. He had the talent to be one of the greatest ever, but what was stopping him? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. All right, I want to move over to officiating. I say this all the time as a coach. I used to tell my players the referees are going to suck. We just got to be doing it. I coached for over a decade, never got a technical foul. I would yell at the refs maybe once a game because I knew they were going to be bad. Now, there are several reasons for why the officiating has been bad. One of them is there's a lot more plays, a lot more scoring, huddle up offense. You're not taking 20, 30 seconds for each play. The second thing is, I think the first Super Bowl had like 14 cameras. The last Super Bowl has 50 cameras. We have a pylon cam. We have a camera overhead. But my philosophy is, why not draft? Why not pick? Not draft, but why not get guys who are Division One athletes, whether it was football, basketball, 25 to 30 years old. Because let's face it, Jeff, these guys are sitting on their butts for the most part. Now, look, there are some refs who are jacked, right? We see some guys who are really in shape. But I don't want to see 55, 60-year-old men deciding the outcome of a game because they're not in position, they're not in shape, they don't put in the film work. What is your solution to the officiating?
I mean, we have replay, right? Not everything gets replayed. Right. Replay should be allowed for any opportunity. Some penalties can be replayed, other ones can't. It doesn't make any sense to me. And if a coach has two, right, if you can throw the red flag on anything, let him throw it on anything. Like, hey, we thought that guy was offsides, or no, he wasn't. Can we take a look at that? And I don't agree with certain things being able to be replayed and not replayed. It is either we use it for everything, or and help these referees make the right call because that's what it's for, or we don't use it for anything and we just let them go off their skills and talents, and hopefully they've done enough eye work and they're focused enough. Because if you ever watch a football game and the quarterback takes a snap, hands it off to a running back, how often do you just watch the lineman? Even if you're a line coach and you're just
Right.
watching a game, right? So
Right.
the referees have to be so focused on what their job is that it's naturally sometimes they're going to miss it. And I think that if a coach has a question about it, that's why they give him the flag that he can throw it and let one of those 50 cameras help him with that decision. And so I just think that we can't put everything on the referees. I think there are, I mean, look, in the NFL, you can call holding on every run play, I think, or pass play. You see it. Sometimes they call it, sometimes they don't. They miss it. But it's that's just the way it is. But there are big plays that happen, whether it's interference or legal man downfield, all those things. You know what? If you want to be able to challenge it, challenge it. Call timeout. Challenge it. If you win it, they don't give you a timeout. Like, you get it back and all those things. I think that's where the NFL should be going.
Well, Bill Belichick said that last year. And one of the things, Gus, that I want to implement is if you can't decide, let's say it's an interception, and if you can't decide after a minute, the camera that he's watching now goes blank and the play on the field stands and says, we cannot determine. Because I'm seeing reviews now go for over a minute and it's just horrible.
Yeah, I think there's a couple angles you use, front, back, side to side, and if you can't determine every one of those shots within that time, then hey, we're gonna whatever the play, whatever it was called on the field, that's what stands. Unless there's definitive evidence. Because I watch guys make catches all the time, and did they get 2 feet in? Was the ball moving? It's like there's so many little, like, you slow anything down, you're going to see all the nuances of it, and that's the hardest thing that you have to deal with. That's why I think some replays take long, because they're like, okay, did he get 2 feet in?
Right.
Was the ball moving? Did he control it the whole way through? All those kind of things. Is there a way to speed that up? I just think it's through learning and education for the referees to
Yeah.
watch more film and learn about that.
I say this all the time, umpires in Major League Baseball. Now, I know there's 162 games, but they're full time. Basketball refs, hockey refs. Why is the NFL going cheap here? Like, this is the area that you're going cheap on. Part time officials, they should be watching film, tendencies. And, people say this all the time. Like Andrew says, refs making a bad call determines the outcome. I'll give you an example. I was watching the Packer game with my dad, watching against the Browns, and the Browns scored, and literally the Browns offensive lineman pulled the defensive lineman down, and it was a holding call. And I was going to post a video of it, but I was relaxing. I got a cocktail instead. So later in the game, where they don't call pass interference on the Packers interception, they're like, "Oh my God, that cost the game." Well, you know what? There are calls missed all the time. You can literally call holding every play.
Well, that, like, the remember the non-pass interference call against the Saints. I don't know what year that
Yeah,
was, but
against the Rams.
they changed the rules for all that. And if that's something that the coach sees and everybody else sees, I think that can be replayed, right? If you have a
Yeah.
legitimate gripe, it should be replayed. It should be now. It doesn't have to be slow. I think the referees have to do a better job. And like you're saying, the NFL should invest. How many games are there over a weekend? 16 at the most, right?
Yeah.
You telling me so you can't add two more people to every game that are in the booth watching the plays over and over and over, and so that it can be sped up, like they do have that for some things, right? Was it this? And they come back and say yes, it was, right away. All the rest now, I mean, they even sped the game up because the refs can talk to each other through headsets.
Right.
So
And even
the back judge doesn't have to run the whole way up and talk to the referee and take 30 seconds.
And even to your point, all touchdowns are now reviewable, right? So you hope everything should. Bill Belichick said that we should be able to challenge everything. Don't tell me we can't review that. Like, either you want to get it right or you don't.
Yeah, I don't think you can be 50%. They have to be all in on this. If they chose to do replay, then everything that you only get a couple red flags, right?
Right.
Like you don't have to say like, "Oh, this everything is a replay," but it can be challenged. And if the coach loses all of his challenges or he wins an extra one, whatever it is, but that should be part of the game.
So nowadays, it's almost impossible to really it's getting harder for me to root for players, right? Because of social media. I'm a big Aaron Rodgers guy. Aaron Rodgers came out and said that, the media leaked the story about his COVID. It wasn't the media, it was the NFL who was on the injury report. But, because of social media, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all that stuff, you now know everything about a player that maybe you didn't know. I say this all the time. If Mickey Mantle, one of the greatest Yankees of all time, who was going around hooking up with women, drinking all the time, if he was around today, he would be criticized. My thing is, Gus, and the bar has been set so low, is that if a person doesn't commit a crime, I don't care what they do off the field. As long as they're not hurting anyone, domestic violence, drunk driving, yes, the bar is set so low, but I could separate the artist from the art. Now, how did you deal with the media? Did you like certain people? Was there certain media members who you were like, I don't want to talk to this guy? Did you ever confront them? Or were you like, you know what, they got a job to do? That's a crappy question, but I'll answer it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a lot to unpack in what you just said. So, when I look at like you think about Mickey Mantle and you go back and you say, would this have hurt or helped him? Maybe it would have helped him. Maybe we would have seen Mantle play longer. Maybe he would have been healthier, and not done some of those things, right? Because he's a guy that everyone looks up to. And that was kind of back in it. We knew that. So everything has progressed since then. And there is social media now. There is the internet. We're never going back to anything we've done before. So when players,
Oh, I think Gus froze. Oh,
right?
go
Yeah,
ahead.
you back?
Yeah.
Sorry. So there's people that come into your teams, and we have team meetings that come in and talk about all this stuff. There's professionals that talk about social media, what to say, what not to say, and somebody will put something on their social media or find out. I think the team should take more control of that, like not in sense of you can't do this, but if you do the wrong thing, then we can keep you out a week. But then there's this thing that the teams want to win, and oh, that was our best player, so we can't really do anything to him. And we see that week in and week out with different teams and how they treat different situations. Right? There were certain coaches and GMs that said, "Look, you're either going to get vaccinated, or we're just going to have to do something else." Right? And so everybody is different, but I think that there's so many different rules for people. And like Aaron Rod, yeah, he believes one thing, but if your leader is kind of going against the grain sometimes, I would say like he has a belief. All right, just come out and say, look, I didn't get vaccinated because I believe this. Don't come out and say, hey, I believe what Joe Rogan says, right?
Yeah.
That to
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
is idiotic. Like if he
Uh,
comes out and says, look, I talked to my family doctor. I don't think that I should get vaccinated because I may have this, whatever. Just you don't have to give the whole story, but be honest. I think when you come out at the end and all of a sudden it comes out that I haven't lied, the NFL knew, the NFL didn't say anything. Like, just be honest with this whole thing. Put it out that, hey, here's the guys that didn't get vaccinated this year. So, when you go and you understand it all and you nip it in the bud. And the problem with, I think the NFL has is when they have an issue, they love to sweep it under the rug and hope nobody finds out. And then when you find out, it turns into such a bigger thing, right? And
well,
that's the issue I have. I think that players need to do the right thing. The NFL is a huge business. Everybody watches it. And for these people to say that NFL players should just play football, well, they're human. And they have a right to talk about their politics if they want. They have a right to talk about health if they want, right to talk about mental health if they want, anything. But just understand that if they do that, there's questions that you have to answer and media you have to deal with. And for me, I had all kind of shit happen in my life in football, and you just deal with it head on and you move on. I mean, the whole headbutt thing's been going on for 20 years now, and it's just something that I deal with, and you move on. And
but
so
you know
I
what?
just
But
think that
Gus,
guys need to be honest.
well, you hit the nail on the head. Everyone makes mistakes. I don't give a rat's ass if Aaron Rodgers is not vaccinated. That to me has no bearing on my life. But to keep on going and keep saying the media leaked it, Aaron, just say, look, I'm not getting vaccinated. I'm doing alternative stuff. If you don't like it, tough. That's it. That's his own personal space. But what I can't stand is Aaron Rodgers going every week. And again, you said it best. If Aaron Rodgers has to get surgery, is he going to consult Joe Rogan? I don't take
Right.
my medical advice from news anchors, from Joe Rogan. I take my medical advice from doctors and medical professionals who are my friends who've been in the industry for over 10, 15 years and they've been successful. I don't take my medical advice from a talk show host.
Yeah, I mean, if I want to learn how to be a comedian or how to go and do a podcast or talk about MMA during a fight, like yeah, Joe Rogan's probably the guy I want to go and listen to. But if Joe Rogan comes to me and says, "Look, I studied 0 years. I have no idea about science or medicine because that wasn't what I went to college for. Even I don't know if I'm sure he did go to college. He's a smart guy, but to go out and to say that I'm listening to Joe Rogan, how many influence people now did Aaron Rodgers just say like, oh, you don't need science, you don't need doctors to listen to, right? Now, if Aaron says my big toe is broken and Joe Rogan's going to come do my surgery, all right, let's see how that goes.
Exactly. Bill Burr, a comedian, was on Joe Rogan's show, and Joe Rogan, and again, I don't care who takes a vaccine, who doesn't. I'm vaccinated. I believe in science. If people don't want to get it, good for them. But Bill Burr said to him, who's been a lifelong friend of Joe Rogan, he goes, Joe, shut the F up. He goes, you're not a doctor. Don't pretend you need to be a doctor to get clicks on social media. He goes, you're messing with people's lives. Shut the F up. And Joe just started laughing because he knew. But final question, then we'll get Rico on with you to talk some more NFL. Did you ever have a problem with the reporter who kept, attacking you?
Oh yeah, I don't know if you know the guy who's on Pardon Interruption, and he's not Michael Wilbon.
Yes, yes, yes,
And he and I butted heads quite a few times.
yes.
And probably when I hit that wall, I saw his face on there. But it's just it. But even with that, I've had a lot of guys come up to me. They're critical of you. But when you talk to older players and say that, and you listen to their stories about, I mean, when Sonny Jurgensen used to tell me, like they'd go to dinner with the media, right? They'd sit and they talk like all these. You go back and watch these old baseball movies, and you see all these things. The media standing right there while they're taking batting practice, right? And they're having a conversation with them. And now the higher ups are so worried what a player's going to say and not say that the media gets 15 minutes with that guy and they have to ask him all these crazy questions because they want to get a soundbite. They want to get something that, they want to get something that, that can be the front line of the paper.
Yeah.
You know what I
They
mean?
want
It's like,
clickbait. They want clickbait.
yeah, and I kind of learned that at a young age in high school. We were playing our rival team and we just won the game before. And after that game, I said, oh, yeah, we're playing Katanning next week. We shouldn't have a problem with them because we just beat so-and-so. Next day, it was in the paper, right? The front page in our little town of 5,000 people. And my coach, which was my father-in-law at the time, he was just my coach at the time. But he says, what do you think you're doing? You can't say that stuff. I said, I just was being honest. He goes, I know, but you can't do anything to give fire or fuel to the other team. And that's what those guys are looking for. All right, Gus has the fuel. Let's put a little fire to it. And then let this thing explode. So as a player, you have to be smart about what you're saying, because once you get into a trap, just like Aaron Rodgers is in a trap right now, you're going to talk about it every week.
Well, it's funny, Gus, because the Alabama running back said after the game, after they beat Cincinnati, he goes, "We're so good, we're going to repeat." And I was like, Nick Saban must be going insane right now because the guy just called out, and he could be confident. He could be, and I'm sure his players love that. But Georgia, after losing to them, this is more adding fuel to the fire. But Gus, I went back and I spent about an hour looking at your quotes. Man, you have such great personality on your show, on this show, but you gave the most basic answers. We're taking one game at a time. Who schooled you in that? Was it your then father-in-law? Because all your quotes are just, we just got to play hard. Every team can beat you. You said all the right things for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, that all stems back to when I was in high school and learned that valuable lesson early. And even in college, when I thought we were going to play a team that we could beat, I would never say, I said, they have really good players. This guy was really good. We have to be careful what we do. And I would, that was kind of how it always was. It was about, hey, giving them a lot of props, making them feel good. Let's go out. And then our real job, the only way we're going to beat him is on the field, not through the media.
All right, let's bring on Rico. Show me the money, Graziano. I feel like I'm out of spot here. Gus has grown a beard. Rico's growing his beard again. How you doing, Rico? Happy birthday, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I'm doing great. What's up, Gus?
What's up, Rick? Hey, you got a New Year's birthday?
Yeah, December 29th, not New Year's Eve, but New Year's December
Oh, man, that's
29th.
got to be so hard close to Christmas for when you were a kid. They were like, you got your presents already.
Yeah, I did. You know what? It's one of those things that you have everything within like a week, and then all of a sudden it's just a full year of nothing.
Yeah. You got nothing else. Like mine is the middle of summer, so it was like spaced out pretty good.
Yeah. July baby, August baby gets it. They have it perfect. Halfway through, they get more things. I get blank all year.
Mine's December 23rd. So it's
so you're in the same boat.
I'm in the same boat. And actually, for Rico's birthday, I purposely didn't text him. That was my birthday present to you, Rico. I ignored you for the day.
We're on a text thread together, and everybody said happy birthday. And I'm waiting. I'm like, where's Monty's? What's Monty gonna say? Nothing. He blanked me for my birthday.
I sent you happy birthday on Facebook. That's good enough. We talk all the time.
You know me. I'm needy. I need a little bit more.
Gus,
you see, Gus.
This is the second year in a row that Rico did not text me or call me on my birthday. Second year in a row.
Well, he was getting ready for Christmas. What can you say?
Yeah, Gus, you're not the only person who's harassed by journalists. I get harassed. I'm a regular guy, and I get harassed every Sunday, every morning. I wake up at 8:00 in the morning to get harassed by a journalist.
Rico, so you're back in LA now. You were in Pittsburgh, New Jersey, and now you're back in LA.
Yes. I was thinking about that today. I love that we have somebody from Pittsburgh, Florida, and California in the same screen. It's pretty awesome. You forget those little things every once in a while.
Wow. Pittsburgh has been crazy weather. Like it's just not cold. It's not warm. It's raining every day. I don't know what's going on. I mean, it's nuts here.
We went to the Titans game. It was like 60 degrees, 55. We go to the game, it's like 32. The next day, 65. I'm like, what happened?
By the way, great seats you had, Rico. Great seats for that game.
Great seats.
And the Steelers won. All right, let's talk a little bit NFL here. Got a couple more minutes with Gus Frerotte, and Rico's joining us. I look at this Cowboy team, Gus. They could score on offense. They could score on defense. And defensively, I don't think there's a faster team sideline to sideline. No one wants to play them at home. Let's start with you, Gus, then we'll go to Rico. Are they a legitimate Super Bowl contender?
Yeah, if they can keep away from the mistakes, but I just feel they still have that ability to make some major mistakes that don't let them win. And whether that's the players or the coaches. Now, we've seen them play pretty well, but we've also seen them this year play not so well. So I think they're still right on the cusp where you're not sure what you're going to get, but recently they have been playing pretty well, and I think they're going to rely a lot on their defense. I mean, look at the talent they have. Ezekiel Elliott, they have 3 incredible receivers. They have good tight ends. Dak's back there. Just don't turn over the football, and you're probably going to go really far in the playoffs.
Rico, you believing in them as Super Bowl contender?
Yes, I actually do. I think that defense with their defense – Their rotation on defense is phenomenal. I mean, they got their defensive line guys are playing 20%. Yeah. To get that fresh guy in on defense is so huge, and their lack of injuries is also great. Like right now, they're rolling at the right time, I believe. And yes, of course, the big mistakes can get them, but I feel like their defense is on fire.
Well, Dan Quinn is known for that, for rotating the D lineman. Dan Quinn was the D lineman in college. He understands that. So he loves to keep those guys fresh. And if you can do it, if they understand that rotation is quick, they're gonna be way faster getting more sacks. Because if it has to go through Dallas, it's a tough place to play.
That's tough. Yeah. And would you say Dak Prescott? I don't have him, but Gus, you're more knowledgeable than me, obviously, in this. Is he a top 7 quarterback? I don't think he is.
He's on the cusp, I would say, because he's got to prove to us that he can go far in the playoffs. Because Dallas hasn't done that in a long time, and I think that's what really makes you a top quarterback, is that you can take your team, if it has the talent that they do, take them pretty far in the playoffs.
So, Rico, we'll go to you now. I look at this Packer team, and it's the same thing that they've happened the last 3 years. By the way, Matt LaFleur, he's going to go 13-3, 13-3, maybe
Again.
14-3 or 13-4. Phenomenal first 3 years. But they're 31st stopping the run, right? We saw against Cleveland. I know that they've been injured, but this is the same approach to beating the Kansas City Chiefs. The difference is the Chiefs defense has been lights out. I'm worried about this Packer team, even though the Minnesota Vikings starting quarterback is not playing today, because they can run the ball. Packers are 31st against the run. How do you beat Aaron Rodgers? You keep him on the sideline, and I don't see how this gets better for the Packers, Rico.
Well, I say it all the time about the Packers. They're like a beautiful puzzle that's always missing 2 or 3 pieces to get to the end. Like I said, they'll get to the playoffs, they'll get to the championship game, and they'll lose. It's always, when I was on that one show with Andrews, he was saying, they're big Packer fans, and he was asking me, and I said, it's like the same thing every year. You guys do the same thing. You have a great season, and then come to that little thing, like their run stop is going to be the one thing that's going to, their Achilles heel. And it's going to do it again. They'll get to the playoffs, and a team is going to run right through them, and that's how they're going to go down again.
Yeah, I mean, Kirk Cousins is not playing, but Dalvin Cook can run it. Gus, are you worried about this Packer team as much as I am?
Well, I think you have to beat them with both, right? You have to obviously run the ball, and you have to be able to throw the ball in opportune situations and get first downs. You don't have to get the big plays all the time. You have to score points against them because Aaron Rodgers is going to eventually put points on the board. But for me, you got to have a team that can be pretty coherent on defense, where they can stop the run with 4 guys. They can play a lot of coverage, and you can't let Devontae Adams just, even if you're double team him, run all over. So 31st in the league in run defense is not great, because if I'm a team coming in and we can run the ball, I'm not letting Baker Mayfield throw it maybe about 5 times.
And let me ask you this question, Gus. I've seen enough of Baker Mayfield. Forget about Big Ben for the reason for this segment. But you look at the NFL, right? Predominantly, the Kansas City Chiefs, the best quarterback. Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Burrow, best quarterback. This is a vertical passing league now, and I look at Baker Mayfield with Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, whatever Pittsburgh's going to do over the next couple of years. He's the 3rd or 4th best quarterback going into every game. Same thing in Denver. You look at Denver. Derek Carr's a very good quarterback. Justin Herbert's a stud. Patrick Mahomes a stud. If I'm Cleveland, I'm done with Baker Mayfield. Are you done with him?
Yeah.
Rico, let's start with you.
Take a good hard look. Next year, they got to take a good hard look at in Baker and all the, what was the plus and minus for him this year, and what games did he win and lose? He's had a couple comebacks, but when you go and play a most important game in Green Bay and you throw 4 interceptions, and he just wasn't very accurate. And I just don't know if Kevin Stefanski will stick with him. But and if he doesn't, there's going to be veteran QBs out there that can come in and play in the system, and they're going to pay him, because those people in Cleveland, they want a championship.
By the way, great comment here, Gus, with the dramatic pause before he was talking about Baker Mayfield. I like that, Eric. All right, Rico, you're a Steeler guy. Gus is a Steeler guy.
Wait. I'm not as Rico's like, he's a 10. I'm like a 3.
Oh, but you live there, so
that's it.
I grew up here. I grew up here. Yeah, I didn't. I was a young Steelers fan when I was young. Put it that way.
Rico,
I'm not super crazy, Gus. You know how they get in Pittsburgh. I mean, like placemats at the house and everything. Like I'm there, but I'm not.
Well, I think I told you guys a story. I played in Pittsburgh, and you had to get tickets for a lot of people. And I come out, and my whole family has Steeler jerseys on. So that's what Pittsburgh is.
Yes.
So Rico, if you're wearing the general manager hat in Cleveland, are you big bet? I mean, Baker Mayfield wants a long-term deal. He wants $30 million. No way you give this guy that money.
I don't even think you give him his 5th-year option, right? I think that's what they're.
That's what they're going to do. Yes.
They're looking. They love him. He's a nice guy. The team loves him. He plays hurt. He does all these things, except he doesn't play great. And you know what? This team feels like they got the pieces together, and they're missing the main piece. So is he coming back? I don't think so. I don't think Cleveland can justify him coming back to the fan base, to the people in the front. The front office. It's keeping the fans happy is a big part of the game. And
yeah, but you look at Cleveland, because I listen to a lot of Cleveland radio. I have Brad Ward, who comes on every Monday. It's 50-50 split. It's like Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh, right? 50% of the fans love him. 50% of the fans are like, all right, it's time to move on.
I don't know about Mike Tomlin 50-50, but I feel a terrible example there. I think it's like maybe 80-20 for Tomlin, but Baker's definitely.
Well, let's be honest. The Steelers last year collapsed the second half of the year. They've been awful this year. They still are mathematically in it if they beat Cleveland. But if it's me, I move off from Baker Mayfield. Okay, 2 more quick topics, then we'll get Gus out of here. Gus, I looked at this Kansas City Chiefs team. They scored 36 points against a good Pittsburgh defense. Travis Kelce didn't play. Tyreek Hill had 30 yards. This defense is playing lights out. Are they the best team in the NFL right now?
Oh, they are sure playing like it. When you have your defense, like that was the big thing for Kansas City, was their defense wasn't keeping up with their offense. Right. And now I don't think we have to worry about that. I think we saw Patrick Mahomes struggle at the beginning of the season, and he kept saying, it's okay, we'll find our groove. We just need to find ourselves, right? And they did. They understand that. And now their defense trusts their offense always, and now their offense is trusting their defense, and their defense is stepping up and having some incredible games.
Yeah, I mean, they're scary good on defense, which is amazing because they kind of have like a Super Bowl hangover. Teams were kind of using what Tampa did defensively, double teaming Tyreek Hill, making him throw over the middle. I think he was kind of hurt during the beginning of the year that they didn't let on, but they've played well offensively and defensively. Rico, are they the favorite to win the Super Bowl right now?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, it's funny because in the beginning of the year when they weren't playing good, and they weren't playing that well, everybody was saying something's wrong with the Chiefs, something's wrong in KC, and they were like, we're good, don't worry about it, we're okay. They were very confident about that, and they were right. They're rolling at the right time, and you can't they were right. They're playing great. I watched them against Pittsburgh. I don't think they did anything special. Pittsburgh's offense is terrible, so you can't really go patting their defense on the back for that particular game.
But since week 8, they're leading the league and giving up least amount of points. So this isn't just, I'm not just looking at one game with the Steelers. Yeah. Their defense has gotten better too. Now, I look at the top 3 teams in the AFC. I'm leaving Buffalo out of it. I think Buffalo's good. They're 162 point differential. But Gus, I don't have Buffalo in my top 3. They're a playoff team. They're not a Super Bowl team. Give us your top 3 in the AFC.
Yeah, I agree with you about Buffalo. In the AFC,
Thank you.
Yeah, I just don't think like Josh Allen hasn't shown us enough to be, and they've let some teams like when when Patriots came in and ran all over them and they couldn't throw and they had issues, like they should win that game. They should do things. They shouldn't let the Patriots run all over them. It's that type of game. So they got bullied a little bit. And I feel like that just told me right there that they might not be the team. That it's not the year for them. But yeah, I never know what happens in the playoffs. For me, it's probably the Chiefs, obviously. If the Bengals keep playing like they are, I don't know. I like watching Joe Burrow play. I'm not saying they're a top 3 team, but man, if they get hot and their defense plays well, they can really run through some people like they did the Ravens last week. To put 525 up on a Ravens defense is pretty darn good. And then you go back to everybody else. It's kind of like a crapshoot, right? Because Tennessee plays good one week, you don't know how they're going to be, and then you see other teams. I don't know if the Patriots are a Super Bowl team or not. I'm not sure they're a top 3 with Mac Jones. Maybe they will be. Their defense, if they don't play well, I don't think they're going to go far. And then I don't really know who else that I can look at in the AFC, because the Chargers can be good. Herbert's young. They can play really well, but then they can also make some huge mistakes. So other than that, everybody else is kind of even to me. But obviously in the AFC, I think it's the Chiefs right now.
But and you look at this Cincinnati team, I thought they should have drafted an offensive lineman. They go out and get Chase. Rico's favorite running back of all time is on that team, just putting up great numbers. But you look at this skills. They have such a unique wide receiver running back combination, and they'll be tested today. Burrow's going to be tested today against this Chiefs defense. But you like them, Gus, as a team of the future, right?
Well, I think their quarterback, we talked a lot about leadership and the guy in the locker room that it runs the show. Joe Burrow is young, but he acts like a veteran. You watch him play, he's poised. Yeah, he can get knocked down. I wish they would have picked Lyman too. They probably need to get a few for him. But you go back to look at Dan Marino. What was the fail-safe with Dan Marino all the time? Yeah, he could throw it. He had great receivers. They never had a run game.
Right.
He didn't get protected like he should have. For me, they got Joe Mixon. They got a good running back that's going to be there for a while. You got to get a guy that can protect his backside. You got to get some linemen that are tough, big, and physical. So that run game, it stays where it should be. But all that being said, they have incredible talent outside.
What about the Colts? Greg brings up a good point here. Jonathan Taylor. I think Jonathan Taylor and Cooper Kupp should be 1 and 2 in the MVP race. I have Cooper Kupp winning it. It's not going to happen. It's going to go to a quarterback. 10 out of the last 11 MVPs. Or do you like this Colts team?
I do, and I hate to say this, but I'm nervous about Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
Not that he's been playing poorly, but you still see every now and then when they're having a great game, there's a mistake that happens. And look, I've been that quarterback that made those mistakes, but to be that top group, you got to have it all together, and the quarterback has that ball in his hands every play.
It's amazing because there's a narrative about Carson Wentz that you look at his stats, right? And this has a lot to do with his coaching staff. 25 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He had a terrible game against the Titans, and he had a bad interception in the end zone a few weeks ago that people keep bringing up. But over the course of the year, Carson Wentz has played pretty well.
Yeah, I get that, right? That's the regular season. But what does he play like when he gets into the postseason? And that's what, does he not handle the stress well enough? If he does throw an interception early, how does that affect him? It doesn't look, he's a big guy. He can run the football, and we've seen him fumble a few times. I think that as the Colts go on and on, they're going to rely on their MVP of the season, Jonathan Taylor. And their offensive line is incredible, and their defense flies around. I just think that they can't afford to have the mistakes.
Yeah, going into last week, their defense had 29 takeaways, the most in the NFL. And I love the wide receiver Pittman out of USC. Rico, how professional was Gus right there, totally shooting down my Carson Wentz theory?
Yeah, well, he's a pro. He's a 10 where I'm a 3. You know what I'm saying?
So Rico, who's your top 3 in the AFC? I know you're going to say the Bills.
After KC, I'm still on the Bills bandwagon a little bit, and it's because my boy's a big Bills fan. So I'm still on the bandwagon, but to pick a third spot is tough. The Colts, Wentz is, when you watch him, you're right. Like he looks like every play that he's throwing, I'm like, great throw.
So Rico, would you jump off the top of a truck onto a burning table for Bills Mafia? Is that how excited you are about the Bills?
By the way, this isn't something new. I have not been on the Bills since week 1. I said there's something they're a playoff team, but I don't see them as elite, Rico. You still believe them. I wouldn't
say elite, but I see them winning a playoff game. I feel like they're going to come around. They're showing glimpses of, who they were. Sometimes it takes a little while. KC, the first few games, like we said, we're when I say a little while, we're down to the last 3 games.
Well, if anybody from the South has to go up and play the Bills in the winter in Buffalo, then they have a good chance to go and to win a playoff game.
That's why
Josh Allen's a good quarterback. He has a lot of pride. He plays well. You can see that he cares. I love watching him play. It's just that for me, they've had a little too many bumps in the road this year.
That's why I think a team like the Colts or if the Browns make it and they go play Buffalo, they got a very good shot because in the windy Buffalo Stadium, you can run the ball 30 times a game and be effective. All right, Rico, let's start with you, and then we'll get Gus' final question. Top 3 in the NFC.
Green Bay, Tampa Bay.
Rams? Rams?
I guess you can go Rams. I don't know. I'm like the way I feel about Buffalo, the one way is the way I feel about the Rams the other way. I think they're a good team, but I don't feel like they can take that next step. So to give them the number 3 spot is tough.
So would you put Dallas in there?
Yes, I put Dallas over to LA.
Okay, one thing about the Rams, number one in yards per play. They can move the ball. Now that Sony Michel has kind of stepped up and really two great acquisitions, Odell Beckham Jr., Sony Michel, both of those guys really playing well. And the Rams, number one in yards per play. That's a big stat in Vegas, believe it or not.
Yeah, I believe that. I believe that. For me, I think it's all going to go through Green Bay because they're going to have the best record. Tampa, and then I would say Dallas, because I feel like there's just something. Even though Cooper Kupp's had an amazing year, their defense plays on and off. And Matt Stafford he deserves to go and as far as they can, because what he went through for all those years in Detroit, I hope that he finally gets something good. But he's an incredible player, and he doesn't need to do too much, and sometimes I feel like he does. But I think that, there are probably four for me, where it goes it goes Green Bay, Tampa, because they got Tom Brady. He's always gives you a chance, and go to Dallas and then LA.
I will say this. I don't want to play the San Francisco 49ers. If Trey Lance is as good as we think he is, and that offense, Jimmy G's not playing, and they run the ball, and they can physically pound you on defense. But, Rico, look at this gem I pulled out of Gus enjoying his Thanksgiving win over the Bears in 1999. And funny story, Gus said no one wanted to eat that turkey because the legs were like stapled onto that, although it looked delicious.
It was a prop turkey.
Well, and it wasn't like they just pulled it out of the oven. I think that thing was sitting in the Madden bus for a good hour or two before the game.
All right, Gus. Big things coming this new year. Talk about Huddle Up with Gus. What are you doing? What's your plan for the new year with shows, guests, etc.?
Oh, we have a lot of guests coming up. I kind of took a break over the holidays, but we've scheduled some really good people. I got Warren Moon coming up. Dottie Pepper. I'm not sure you know who Dottie Pepper is from golf, but Dottie's coming on, which will be great. I'm trying Jim Jeffcoat. He'll be coming on. We just keep getting these incredible guests and listen to their stories. We're just going to keep doing what we're doing. And hopefully I think I might start working with the NFL alumni a little bit and doing some rivalry talk, where I get two people on from different teams, different eras, and talk rivalry stuff with them, which would be a lot of fun to do. So guy may be from Alabama, another guy from Georgia that played in the NFL. Let's go and talk it out about the rivalry and what that means to them.
Gus, people don't realize this, but Warren Moon was the most Doug Flutie and Warren Moon, the most dominant players ever in Canadian football. Think about all the years Warren Moon spent in Canada because the NFL didn't think he was a traditional quarterback. I wonder if he's bitter about that.
Well,
he had tremendous success.
Which one do you think is the greatest player ever to come out of Canadian football league?
I would say Doug Flutie, right?
Yeah, Doug Flutie was voted the greatest player ever to come out of the National Football League, or the Canadian Football League.
Yeah, and you interviewed him. I saw that. But Warren Moon was so good in Canada, and Warren Moon was so good in the NFL. I just don't understand. I don't know, maybe the general managers, all the people who passed on him. I mean, talk about swing and a miss, right?
Well, that, and I'm sure there's some other reasons that we know probably went on why teams didn't take him. When you're one of the first guys to change history, like Warren Moon, to play as long as he did in the CFL and then to come to the NFL and play that long. But, man, could he sling it? And when they were in Houston and you watch those guys, when everybody was route reading, there's receivers had to know what the coverage was because that depended on the route. That was every play. And to have that trust in each other was amazing. And Warren Moon probably could spin the ball just as probably better than anybody I've ever seen in the NFL.
And Gus, you faced him, right?
Oh, yeah, I've played against Warren. We were never on the same team, but we've played against each other. Just, when you watch him throw, his mechanics and everything, and to do it as long as he did and to be as mechanically correct as he always was pretty intense.
Yeah, no, one of the best ever. And I don't understand how you can miss that talent. Again, there are probably some factors that we don't need to talk about. All right, Gus, how can we follow you? How can we support you? And people keep asking me, are you going to pick certain days for your show? Are you going to say, okay, every Tuesday, every Thursday? How are you going to do that?
Yeah, we're trying to. I've been working with a new group called Super. They're a new platform, and we've been trying it out for 3 months. We wanted to see what it was going to be, and so when we get back, we need to do it at the same time so people know when to check us out and what we are up to currently. And so I think we're going to try and pick a certain time this next year, but our podcast always usually comes out Monday.
Right.
But the live shows, we want to try and figure out what day is best for all the fans to watch and be able to interact with our guests.
Yep. All right. Well, as always, we love having you on. Anything you do, please put on my page. You have great people working for you. They're always in communication with me. So I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate the support. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
All right, you two. Happy birthday. I'm glad you had your birthdays already. Mine's coming up in July. So, hope you guys got everything you wanted for this holiday.
I got Rico the same thing I got him last year, just a different color. Which was nothing. So, all right.
Sorry about that, Rico.
Yeah. My friends, of course. Look at it. It's me. I got to look at who I'm picking as the people I'm hanging out with.
Well, maybe you should say something. He doesn't mind calling you at 8:00 in the morning to wake you up. So maybe you should say like, "Hey, can I get a little something?" For
Gus,
that?
if you know anything about Rico, our relationship is totally one-sided. I'm the one who's always texting him. I'm always building
He's
him up.
such a liar, Gus.
It's one-sided.
Let's not bring Gus in the middle of our relationship, our distorted relationship.
Sounds like father-son problems. I don't know.
There's street signs named after Rico, one way. Let's just leave it at that. All right, Gus. Thanks so much.
All right, fellas. Happy New Year to everyone. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
He's so entertaining, dude.
Seriously. He is. He really is.
And what's great about him,
he's like next level. He's a good-looking guy. You see those pictures of him, like when his younger days in football. I'm like, man, Gus must have really been. He must have had it good.
Gus, listen. Not only that, just what I love about him is he's made mistakes professionally. He's done things. He owns it. Like he said about Aaron Rodgers. Just be honest. Gus said sometimes I got into it with reporters, he's like, and he's a human being. But what I like about him is there's something just genuine about him. He knows who he is. He doesn't try to be something he's not.
Yeah. He's very genuine.
Yes.
But you said in Pittsburgh, there's a lot of genuine people there. They're very
Rico. My friend Mike, did you watch All the Right Moves yet? The movie that takes place in Pittsburgh, football movie with Tom Cruise.
No, I haven't watched it yet. I got a 3-year-old. You know what I'm watching? I'm watching Luca. I'm watching the Princess something. I don't know. It's all.
Does your son have a go-to movie that he can watch every day?
Oh, it was Cars for a while, which is a very well-written movie.
Very well written.
I've watched that movie so many times. I'm like, this movie's genius.
He can watch that every day.
He made me, by the way, keep this shirt on. My Mickey Mouse pajamas shirt on. He made me keep it on. I was trying to take it off to switch my shirt, and he was like, no. And I was like, all right, I'll keep it on.
Okay, because you had matching pajamas. You lost your man card along the way. By the way, I got to say something. Melissa's family has such cool pajamas, and then you did your side of the family, and it's like you compare the two pictures, it's not even close. Her side of the family is so organized. Your side of the family was like grumpy, like, do we have to really wear these?
That's exactly how it went down.
Your dad did not look happy.
Well, because my father is not happy about it because he's got 6 pair of Christmas pajamas. He's at the house because Melissa does it every year, and she buys new pajamas every year. And he's like, I don't need another pair of Christmas pajamas. Let's just use the ones from last year. And she's like, no, we got new ones. And so she'll just mail them to the house, and he'll get, my father, what do you got to waste this money for pajamas for one picture?
He did not look happy in that picture.
No.
All right. So I started watching Cobra Kai. I'm up to episode 6. I only wanted to watch 2. I wound up watching 6. The first 2 or 3 episodes, it's a little slow, but Rico, just as good as advertised. Have you watched any yet?
None of the new ones. We have to sit down and we have to do it. Me and Melissa will binge them soon enough. But I hate when the show comes right out on Netflix and you burn it right out.
Yeah.
Because by the time the next season, but they already got season 5 filmed.
Yes.
So that being said, it might be a lot quicker than we think.
Yeah, because we had to wait a year for this one. Gina's saying we're Lucy and Ricky. Wow. Oh no. Or maybe Lucy and Ricky, that's a new show on on
Yes,
Amazon.
Lucy
Yeah.
Ball and Ricky. Yeah. Or maybe we're them. Maybe she's saying that it's I'm Ricky and you're Lucy with
Well,
your
I
hair.
am Latin, so I should be Ricky. All right, Rico, tell the fans what you did over the holidays. How did you celebrate Christmas, New Year's, and your birthday?
Well, I was in we flew to Pittsburgh. We were in Pittsburgh for about 10, 12 days, and then and we did a Christmas there. We put the tree up, we did the whole thing. It wasn't on Christmas Day, but we did it for Giovanni. We had all the gifts, we did everything, which he's become hilarious. Like he's becoming like at 3.5, they start to get really their personality. And then we went to Jersey, like family, some family came over. We didn't, because Melissa's parents are a little older, so we didn't have a lot of people come over. Then we flew over to Jersey, so we flew to Jersey. We had to get our COVID tests. It's so horrible that once you get on a plane, it feels like it's part of the whole experience of like, all right, we're in Jersey, let's go get the tests. We had in-home tests right off the bat. Then we did the regular tests. Did the same thing when we flew back here. We stayed at my house for Christmas, New Year's, and my birthday. Not New Year's, my birthday. Then we flew back here on the 30th, which the airport was a mess. What I tell you, they had it organized, the TSA, but still the amount of people that were traveling. We had Giovanni literally with like triple mask. Like we didn't even know.
Wow, really?
We were a little stressed out about that part. And then we came here, and then and now it's just 2 days later, 3 days later, we took our test as soon as we landed. We did the in-home test yesterday. I had to get Giovanni tested yesterday for school because now in LA, his preschool wants him and one parent tested. That's the new rule, which it's difficult to get him tested. These 3-year-olds don't like things stuck up their nose. It's a train wreck. But I had a great birthday. But I do have a good story that I feel like I should save for another.
Yeah, save for the rant.
For another show.
Okay. All right.
It's a really, really cool one. I want to save it.
What a teaser. What a teaser. I love it. All right, Rico, let's just talk about this. This is Melissa's side, organized, Mickey Mouse. Everyone's all into it, close together, and then just angry right here. Rico, you don't even look happy.
Yeah, you like the picture in the background?
Yeah.
How do you say you're Italian without saying you're Italian?
Well, you guys are so organized here. You're all on board. And here's like, do we really have to take this picture?
Even Giovanni, look at Giovanni now when he doesn't even look like he's too happy.
Look how happy he is here. Like, yeah, take it. And then here he's like, okay, let's just get it over with.
Hey, but those are Italian pajamas. Look at the colors. That's what we were going for.
This question. So she bought pajamas for her whole family here. And then your family?
Yes.
Wow.
And that's not the first year she's done that. That's why my father is like, why do we have so many pajamas? Look at him.
I love your dad. All right, Rico. So good news is we got about 5-6 minutes left. We're going to blast through these. You have now, people want to know, we tied up in fantasy football because Rico cancels like 5 minutes before each show when he can't come on. He doesn't even give me like an hour notice. So we finished 7-7 on the year. We're just going to call it a tie in fantasy football, correct?
Yes. Yeah. We had a conversation. I wish we had the phone call conversation recorded because it sounded a little bit more like Monte felt the losing coming on. It was like, I think, we're even right now. Let's just leave it. And I was like, okay, whatever makes you happy, Monte.
You were up 7-5. I won 2 in a row to come back. So it's tied. But I will say this. The good news is you have now guaranteed. We had 2 podcasts that you were on. This is my second year doing a YouTube show. You have now guaranteed your 4th straight winning week. You could put that on your resume because like Baker Mayfield, I don't know if I'm bringing you back for a 5th year. So you're like a free agent now.
My 5th year option is up, huh?
All right. So let's get to the games. Listen, no Kirk Cousins. Again, a guy doesn't followed it, but he's not vaccinated. I'm a little worried about this game because I think they're going to rely on Dalvin Cook. I still think the Packers win, but are you surprised that the Packers are a 7-point favorite, Rico?
No, I'm not surprised, but the Packers, whoever they play, I feel like they're always in the spread. Like as I was picking the Packers for this game, but I feel like it's a big trap game. And because of the 3 games we have, I feel like we got 2 traps in this game. So, I think the Pack has the potential to blow them out, to win by, 3 touchdowns. So I'm taking the Pack in this game because as much as a trap as I think it is, because the Pack haven't covered in like 3 weeks. They've won, but they haven't covered.
It is a trap game, but I will say this. Since week 11, the Packers have averaged 33.4 points per game. They went conservative last week, which, Rico, I brought up a point, and I thought it was a brilliant point on Monday night, and I'm going to bring it up to you again. How do you go conservative if you're the Packers? Because most coaches say, hey, we're going to go conservative. We don't want to turn the ball over in the passing game. Aaron Rodgers doesn't turn the ball over. So let him make a play on 3rd down. Don't run it, right? It makes no sense.
No, but I think the Pack is they're gonna stay. I don't want to see them getting after this game. They'll be they lock in if they win.
Yeah.
Right. They lock in this number 1 spot. So I think the Pack is gonna, they're gonna win this game, take the number 1 spot. Will they cover 7? I believe so.
Okay.
It's not like Kirk Cousins was lights out anyway.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's not like they're losing this. It's not like you're losing Aaron Rodgers. Right? Like, we see what happened. That's why he'll win MVP. When he's not on the field, the team is a disaster. He's most valuable player. He's going to win it again. And then hopefully come to Pittsburgh.
All right. So you have the Pack winning by 7. Listen, this game is really intriguing. The 8-7 Dolphins at the 10-5 Titans. Miami is the first team in the history of the NFL to lose 7 straight games and then win 7 straight games. They are allowing 11.7 points per contest since week 9, fewest in the NFL. Titans favored by 4.
Well, I like the Titans in this game. I've watched them live. I've watched I've for some reason I've paid attention to them this year more than most years, and they have a real good offensive line. They got a good running game. If they just stick to the running game, that's their biggest problem. Is that they'll run the game, they'll run all game, do great like against Pittsburgh, and then all of a sudden they started throwing Don't worry about it.
You're not buying into the Dolphins defense. And by the way, Waddle's going to have probably 100 catches on the year, the rookie from Alabama. You're not buying into Miami.
Not that I'm not buying into Miami. I just think the Titans win this game if they stick to the game plan of run the ball because they're a good team. They're a good all-around team. They're not a great all-around team, but they're a good all-around team. Miami's on a high. They're running. They're going. But they got all the press on them. Now everybody's talking about them. How will they handle that? I don't think they're going to handle that too well. I think that they
finally.
Yeah.
So you're taking the Packers the favorite. You're taking the Titans favorite. Rico, you said this numerous times. You never want to take 3 favorites because it just doesn't work out that way. The Chiefs are favored by 5, 11-4 Chiefs going against Cincy, and you're going to take 3 favorites, which is going against everything you believe in.
Yeah, it is. It is. But I'm taking the Chiefs in this game. And part of taking the Chiefs in this game is because I need the Bengals to lose as a Steeler fan, but we need to win to beat Cleveland, and we're missing half of our defense. But I love Cincinnati's offense, but they have sputtered out throughout the year here and there. And like you said, the Chiefs defense is pumping up; they're looking better, and and the Chiefs are rolling. They're on fire right now. They want that number 1 spot, and if they win this week, I think they get it also.
Are you buying into the Bengals as the team in the future in the AFC North?
Yes, without a doubt.
All right, so you're taking the Packers the favorite, the Titans the favorite, and the Chiefs the favorite, and part of the reason is you just want Cincinnati to lose for your Pittsburgh Steelers. So you're still keep hope alive for the Steelers.
That's it. You got it right to the end. Just scratching away, hoping.
Keep hope alive for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay, Rico, that time of the show, give us your rant.
So I've been reading an article. Now I'm going to a whole different sport. It's going to be about baseball. My rant is that they're talking about Barry Bonds getting into the Hall of Fame. So Barry Bonds, I just 22-year career, this guy, the home run champ, all league MVP multiple times. Yes, he got caught doing steroids. He got caught doing steroids, but in 22 years, he wasn't using it for 22 years. I mean, ready? In 22 seasons, he's got 2,935 career hits, 762 home runs, and walks, the most walks of any player in history. This guy has literally, 10. If he doesn't get voted in now, he won't be in the Hall of Fame. And he is stats, numbers, and quality of player. He's better than 60% of the guys in the Hall of Fame. Without a doubt, he should have been voted in on. He should have been a third ballot least. The fact that this guy is sitting here, and he will get in the Hall of Fame, whether he gets voted, there's another way you can get voted in the Hall of Fame.
So you have no problem with the fact that, and let's be honest, Barry Bonds started taking steroids because he saw what Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire did in that home run year where Mark McGwire broke the record. Those guys were so roided out. The picture here says it all. You have no problem with him that he took steroids.
No, well, you know what I mean. So that there's a lot of players in sports who've done it, and they've gotten their consequences and their suspensions and whatever. It doesn't keep you out of the Hall of Fame. 22 years. He wasn't doing it for 22 years.
Right.
That's the bottom line. A 22-year career in baseball and an all-star in all of them. It's not like he really had like a few years he wasn't good. There was like maybe a year here and there where he was
dominant. He was dominant. That's why I used to think Alex Rodriguez was the best shortstop of all time. But I look now what Ken Griffey Jr. did. I look at what Derek Jeter did, all without HGH. Those guys were phenomenal. So you're saying, so if Barry Bonds gets in, that means we're letting Mark McGwire in. We're letting Sammy Sosa in. We're letting Mark Teixeira in. We're letting all the guys who took steroids in, right? That's what you're saying.
No. You got to go on the quality of playing, the distance of playing. You can't just, Mark McGwire is not a Hall of Fame player. His career did not span that long. His quality of play jumped in those years that he was doing the juice. It wasn't, Barry Bonds was a great player before that and well after that.
Yeah, you bring up a good point because the year before Mark McGwire started to take steroids, he batted .201 and had 22 home runs. And you talk about like someone like Jose Canseco. I use the analogy of Roger Clemens. Roger Clemens was like 3-5. His ERA was 5.75 in Toronto. Canseco goes to Toronto. All of a sudden, Roger Clemens turns his career around, starts juicing, and becomes a dominant pitcher for the Yankees when he literally was being kicked out of baseball because he was terrible before the HGH. All right, so you say Barry Bonds, yes, for the Hall of Fame.
Yes, I think Hall of Fame. I think it would be a sin. It's not, so you're talking. There's players in the NFL that have been suspended for 3 or 4. It's one thing like, okay, you get suspended. It's another thing to be like, no, your career means absolutely nothing for the mistake that you did in this one or 2 years of a 22-year career means that you're getting blackballed from the Hall of Fame. I think it just doesn't sound fair to me.
Rico, more popular in Pittsburgh, Ben Roethlisberger or Sidney Crosby right now?
Oh, Sidney Crosby. Ben Roethlisberger's name is Sidney Crosby by a mile.
He's the favorite.
Well, of course he's the favorite because he's still in the prime of his career. That guy's eternal. That guy every year, I'm like, he's going to get older. He gets better. I'm like, how is this happening?
Eric, Roger misremembered Clemens. Remember when he said that during the trial? I think because they're like, Andy Pettit said that he took steroids and said that him and Roger Clemens did it because we were talking about it. And Roger Clemens goes, I think he misremembered. That's what he said about Andy Pettit. That was his quote.
Did he? Yeah.
Rico, any truth to the fact that you're thinking about relocating to Pittsburgh?
No, when you're married to a girl who's from Pittsburgh, every once in a while the conversation comes up. But then things like the winter happen. Where we were there for the winter and she was like, it's not that bad. And then it went down to like 25 and she was like, oh yeah, no.
Well, Rico, you would definitely dress warm. How many people were wearing a mask in the Steelers Stadium?
Me, my brother-in-law.
And that's it?
I can name all the people in that stadium that were wearing the mask. See, it used to be called Pittsburgh. Now it's called Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, because they've really jumped on board with no mask wearing and nothing. But that being said, I saw their COVID test lines were the drive-through thing. It had about a 2-mile line. So
yeah, same here in Florida. It's out of control here in Florida. One of my coworkers had to couldn't get a test. He was going to wait 3 hours online. He said, "I'm going tomorrow at 6 a.m." He said, "I'm not waiting 3 hours." I said, "Don't."
Yeah.
It's out of control.
Terrible.
All right, Rico. Happy New Year. Happy birthday. Love seeing you. Are you a little sad because the NFL season is winding down?
Actually, you know what? This year's been a rough one fantasy wise. So I have 2 championship games that I'm
Me
fighting.
too. I'm in two.
I'm fighting for third place in both, and they're not looking good. They're not looking good. I might end up with $0 this year.
Is it the first time ever?
Ever.
Wow.
I mean, it's not over yet. We still have today. We still have today and tomorrow, but the arrow is pointing to 0.
Rico, it's funny because I compare you and your good friend Levi to Bill Belichick of fantasy football. But this is kind of like last year, right? Bill Belichick didn't make the playoffs. I'm in 2 finals for money, so we'll see. So you might not make money.
I might not make, but you know what? Again, COVID, a lot of injuries, a lot of, like I have things to blame it on. But like you said, it's sometimes the best just don't win the Super Bowl every year.
You can't win every year. I'm in 2 fantasy football championships. One I'm probably going to win. It's for third place, but who cares about third place?
Yeah, well, third place, at least you get some money back.
Yeah. So, all right, Rico, thanks so much. We'll see you next week. Happy birthday. Happy New Year to your family, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. I want to thank Gus Frerotte. I want to thank Rico Show Me the Money Graziano, and I want to thank all of you for tuning in, making the show as popular as it is. We did 5 shows in 7 days. We did a show last Sunday. We did a show Monday. We did 2 shows on Friday, and we did a show today. So that makes it 5. We love being on the air, love having your input. So again, make sure to subscribe, make sure to give us thumbs up. And in the immortal words of Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back.